here we have Dr. Stanley Ahalt. He's from the RENCI Computer Institute from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Welcome, Dr. Stanley Ahalt. We are really honored to have you at ASC conference. Tell us something about yourself and your research, what you're working on.
So my name is Stanley Ahalt. I'm a professor of computer science at UNC Chapel Hill. I'm also the director of the Renaissance Computing Institute. And the Renaissance Computing Institute, it was set up to help accelerate the research of 3 different institutions, Duke, North Carolina State, and University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. We largely accelerate research by building cyber infrastructure, so a lot of what we focus on is the development of infrastructure like high-performance computing, storage systems. Primarily, nowadays it's software and software focused on data.
Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting stuff. So where do you see what do you think as the market expectation or the industry expectations from the researchers in the next 5 years?
Well, I think, first of all, I would say that industry still has some concerns as to whether or not the academic community will be doing research pointed in the direction that they are particularly interested in, largely because industry typically has very short time frames in mind. They need to build something that's particularly useful for their customers or particularly useful for cutting their cost. And lots of times the academic research takes a longer perspective. So I think that one of the things that we're seeing evolve right now is the fact that in many ways some of the academic community is farther ahead of the industrial counterparts. That's certainly not true of all industry, but I think a lot of academics are looking at data and trying to very aggressively start to understand what are the underlying underpinnings, both from a scientific and technical standpoint. So the expectations are being negotiated as we speak.
So what is the most significant research that you came across during this conference?
Well, I certainly think that Vinod Khosla's talk this morning was extremely interesting. He emphasized the incredible opportunities that are available from a data science perspective in the healthcare industry. I totally agree. My work as the biomedical services director at UNC School of Medicine has convinced me that there's a lot of opportunity in the healthcare system to utilize data-driven approaches in order to do 2 things primarily. One is to reduce the cost of healthcare, and secondly is to improve the overall outcomes of healthcare. That's going to take some negotiation and time because I think that the healthcare system hasn't been set up in the past to necessarily focus on those 2 objectives, even though those 2 objectives are important.
Well, that sounds pretty promising. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your
time
so and efforts. And thank you so much for attending the conference.
Oh, it's a joy to be here. Thank you so much.